Hello, and a very warm welcome to Rise and Thrive. This is Diana Fumbilwa, and I'm back this week. Super excited to be here with you. And I just want to say a warm welcome, and I am coming to you from the beautiful city of Melbourne, Australia. So please do feel welcome, but remember what we do here at Rise and Thrive. Share the video and make sure that someone else has the opportunity that you have to be blessed by what we have to talk about by way of wisdom on this platform this week. So I just want to say welcome, and just, feel free to engage in the comments. Feel free to just interact with me as we go through this week's wisdom. So we are in the month of August, and we have dubbed our month as the month of new beginnings. We know that in the biblical numerical order, that the number 8 signifies new beginnings. So our theme scripture for our Rise and Thrive family is drawn from Isaiah chapter 43 and verse 19. And here is what it says. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Now, this theme is really packed. When you talk about new beginnings, you're talking about transition, you're talking about change, you're talking about transformation, and there are a lot of aspects that come into the discussion of new beginnings. But today I want to zero in on perception, and I've entitled today's wisdom as you must perceive. Yes, you must perceive, because as you navigate your new environment, as you have entered this season of new beginnings, you must understand that there is a great need for you to perceive. Now, there's a difference between just mere looking and perceiving a thing. You will realize that in life, we can walk into the same room. Two people can walk into the same room and we see different things. There are people that have this ability to see deeper and beyond what meets the naked eye. And that's what I'm talking about today. So let's define what perception is. Please feel welcome and feel free to share the video with someone that might be sitting at that position where they have entered a new job, they have stepped into their new beginning, but they're failing or struggling to perceive what is in store for them in that environment. So perception, by way of definition, is the way in which something is regarded or understood or interpreted. So the way something is regarded, understood, or interpreted, in a nutshell, that is what perception is. So, beloved, as we have entered this exciting season where we are starting afresh, some of you have had a second chance at life. Maybe you had an illness that had knocked you down and you didn't know what was going to happen to you. You were just rubbing shoulders with death, but God has brought you back. God has brought you back and your health has been restored. This is a new beginning for you. Do you perceive it is the question today. Maybe you have stepped into a new job and God has opened doors for you in the corporate world, in the business world. But the question I have for you today is, do you perceive this new thing that God is doing? It's one thing to see it, but it's another thing to perceive it. Now, I want to really drill in on some of the things that can cloud our perception. It's very possible that we have entered a new environment and we've embraced this new season and we have all these prospects that are waiting for us. But we fail to perceive because of the following things that I will highlight. Now, this is not exhaustive. There could be other things that would cloud your perception. Remember, we said perception is how you regard something, how you understand it, and how you actually interpret it. So, what are some of the things quickly that can hinder your perception? Because I tell you, beloved, when God has brought you into a new beginning, there will be situations where you begin to doubt whether God has brought you here. You will begin to doubt whether you heard God right. You will begin to doubt whether this is your place. Uh, this new beginning is something that is intended for you. Why? There's so many reasons that we doubt whether God has called us or has put us in a certain situation at a particular time. Sometimes it's just mere fear because we feel we are afraid to embrace new things. Sometimes it's the way we perceive ourselves. We think we are so inadequate and ill prepared. But let me delve into things that can cloud your perception. The first thing is when you have superficial observation, beloved, in this season of your new beginning, in your new job, it could be your new relationship, it could be anything that God has brought to you and has said, here is this thing that I'm doing. Remember in Isaiah, our theme scripture, he says, behold, I am doing a new thing and it springs forth. Do you perceive it? So one of the reasons you can fail to actually perceive what God is doing is having superficial observation. You know, people often passively see things. They observe things passively without actively engaging their mind in critical thinking. It is important and crucial that when we are in a new environment, that we are observant, that we keep our senses active. We don't just use our eyes, but we use everything that God has put in us. We use discernment to actually observe the things that are in our environment. What are the things you can tap into to accomplish, God's purpose for your life, because everything that we do on this earth, beloved, has attached to it an assignment that is linked to why God has put us on this earth. So superficial observation can cloud your perception. Don't be complacent. It's not all easy come, easy go kind of vibe. When you enter a new environment, it's time to stand up straight and be alert of what is happening in your environment. You are positioning yourself to learn and to pick up things that might be important as you walk the journey in your new beginning. Another thing that can cloud our perception, beloved, is selective attention. This one, most of us are guilty of. Have you heard of the term zoning out? um, Maybe some of you have sat in a meeting where people are talking and talking, and all of a sudden the voices begin to sound like they're going far away and further away, and all of a sudden everyone laughs, and then you turn around and think, oh, what did he say? What was he saying? You are giving that meeting or that person talking in the meeting selective attention. I want to caution you, beloved, that when you enter a new season, you don't have the luxury of selective attention. You have to pay attention to every detail in your new job, in your new environment, and in your new relationship, in your new business. I tell you what, walking into a new office, you need to have wisdom to actually learn from the person that you first meet at the door, whether it's the guard, the security guard, whether it's the janitor, whether it's the receptionist. All those people, bear in mind that when you walk into that office, you have something to learn from them. And the way you perceive them, the way you interpret them, the way you give them attention will determine on how much leverage you will have in that organization. I tell you, there are certain things that CEOs won't know that the janitor knows about the environment that you're entering. So be alert that you will not miss this wealth of experience and wealth of knowledge that these kind of people would have. So what am I saying? Don't have selective attention. That will cost you your perception of your new season. Moving right along real quick because I don't want to keep you long today. Another thing that can cloud your perception is preconceived notions and biases. This one flows from the previous point I've talked about and the example I gave about meeting the security guard first. If you are a person that has pre-existing beliefs that people don't talk to the security guard or people don't talk to the janitor, you just walk past them in your high heels because you are the corporation, you're the corporate manager. If you have such a bias in your mind and you enter a new environment, you will deprive yourself of perceiving what God is doing and what God has sent you to do in that organization. Maybe it's you are entering a new business arena. If you have a bias, against certain ways of doing things, there is no way you are going to learn and grow in that business. If you find people, selling computers, if you are coming from an environment where people tried to sell computers and they failed, and you have now come into a new beginning, which requires you to sell computers, don't have a bias and think that because you've heard of people that have failed, that this is going to fail as well. When you have a chance to begin afresh, it is time to make corrections. So what you think caused people to fail to sell computers in the past, that is now your assignment to correct whatever method caused them to fail and begin to apply yourself in a new way. But when you have preconceived notions and biases, it's very easy for you to cut off and zone out and miss out on what is springing forth in your new beginning. So pre-existing beliefs and biases can influence how you perceive what you are seeing. Are you perceiving correctly? It's important when you enter a new environment. It could even be a new church. You've moved to a church, and because in the previous church, when the usher doesn't smile at you, it means that you are not welcome. Maybe in that church, they do things differently. So be open. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't allow these things to cloud your perception of the blessing that God has put in front of you. And that's how we miss out, because we have this belief that the way we do things is the best way of doing things. We must be open to learning from the environments that God has brought us into. And also, the other thing that can cloud your perception is a lack of awareness. Lack of awareness. You're just, being physically, you're physically present, but you are not fully aware of what's happening around you, which is really linked to being a person that has selective attention. So moving right along to the last one I'll talk about, I'll just skip over the other ones. So the last thing that I think can cloud our perception, beloved, this is very, very crucial, is our cultural differences. Now, for some of you, and me included, our new beginning could have moved us from one country to another, or shifted us from one culture to another. Maybe God has opened a door for you to go and take up a job elsewhere. Now, if you experience cultural differences, and you are not actually perceptive in the way that you handle those differences, you can miss your blessing. You can miss your opportunities if you don't adjust culturally. What am I saying? I'm sure you've heard of the saying, when you go to Rome, do as the Romans do. We must be willing to be stretched in our new beginnings. We must be willing to be challenged. We must be willing to be adaptable. We must be willing to interact with people that don't look like us, to interact with people that don't think like us. And that's where our growth happens, because we embrace new ways of doing things, but also we teach people the way we do things that brings that balance in our new environment. Now, I want to quickly move on, beloved, to why I'm talking about perception today. Why is perception important? We have seen from Isaiah 43, verse 19, that God has said, do you perceive this new thing that I'm doing? So, why is it important that we should perceive where God has put us, why God has allowed things to happen to us, why God has caused things to turn out the way they have in our individual lives, in our families? Why? Why is perception important? Why do we need to understand the reason behind what God is doing? Number one is clarity. We can never fully embrace a season when we are not clear about where we're going in that season, when we are not clear about why the season has arrived, when we are not clear about who we should take into that season with us, when we are not clear about who we should leave behind as we enter that season. Clarity is very important, and clarity actually comes as a result of correct perception. So, perception allows you to be aware of the details and distinctions in your surroundings, and it helps you be observant and have an open mind that helps you gather that valuable information about your new beginning. So, when you get clarity, you are able to make well-informed choices in your new beginning. So if you are not clear about something, remember God is the one that has brought you this far. Ask God. But if God sends you to people that you are supposed to approach to help you find clarity, be humble enough to learn from others. The fact that you've entered your new beginning, we know that's your new beginning. God has brought you into that new beginning. But when you are not clear, it is time to consult. So perception is important to give you clarity, because however you perceive something is the extent to which you are clear about that thing. The other important thing about perception is that it shifts your mindset and your attitude. It shifts your mindset and attitude. What do I mean by that? When you have a positive and an optimistic outlook on your situation, on your environment, that shifts your mindset and attitude to become positive. And likewise, if you have a negative perception about where you are now, your new beginning, where God has placed you, then you will have a negative mindset. Your mindset will just shift to negativity, and the attitude will be negative. I'll give an example of, some of you that may have come on this platform for the first time. You see me for the first time, and there's a way that you will perceive me. There's a way that you will perceive me from the way you understand me, the way you view me, the way you analyze my mannerisms or my eye contact or whatever it is that you look for when you are forming an opinion about a person. So you will look at me and you will either think that I am a positive person or I am a negative person. And that, as a result, will influence the attitude that you have towards me and what I do. So perception can shift your mindset and attitude. So I invite you, beloved, in this season where we've entered our new beginning, let our perception influence our mindset and attitudes positively, because we've all heard, it's now even cliche, that a positive attitude goes a long way. What is your attitude today about your new beginning, about your new environment, about your situation? What is your attitude? Maybe if your attitude is negative, check your perception. What are you looking at in your situation? Are you looking at what is not working, or you're looking at what is possible for you to do to make that situation a little bit better? Perception shifts your mindset and attitude and can influence how you eventually end up embracing your new season. Um, the next reason why perception is important is that it impacts on your adaptability and flexibility. Adaptability, flexibility, very important terms. You can't do without them in a new environment. You need to be adaptable. You need to be flexible. But it's the way you perceive where you are that will influence whether you become adaptable or you become flexible or you remain rigid and you don't even um, give yourself that opportunity to reap and eat the good of the land that God has given you. You know, God has given you this blessing of a new slate, a new start, a new place, a new relationship, a new job, a new ministry. Whatever it is that your new beginning is in this month of August, I invite you, beloved, that let your perception cause you to be flexible. God is a God of variety. God might send in your path someone that is very difficult to deal with, but maybe God is stretching you to become more flexible, to accommodate different personalities. Because I tell you, destiny helpers don't come in the shape and form that we apply for. We just apply for destiny helpers. We ask God to send people to help us. But when they show up, beloved, it is our perception of those destiny helpers that will allow us to either be flexible or be rigid. And this is how, unfortunately, many people have missed their destiny helpers because they've refused to actually perceive them as those that have been sent by God to help them. And so be adaptable and flexible, and you need a shift in your perception. You need the correct perception for you to adapt and be flexible. Another reason why perception is crucial is that it produces emotional resilience. Emotional resilience. Perception influences how you interpret events. Okay. So, what do I mean by emotional resilience? I'll give an example of failing an exam or a relationship breakup, maybe that's more generic and general across the board. When a relationship breaks down, the way you perceive the events that led to that relationship breaking or the actual event of the relationship ending, the way you perceive it will determine whether you're going to be emotionally resilient after all is said and done, or you're going to fall apart. Beloved, we have entered a season of new beginnings. And new beginnings entail that there was an ending somewhere. There was an old ending before the new beginning started. So, whatever transpired in the old ending, whatever transpired in your previous season, can have that residual effect on you if you fail to interpret those events that brought you to this new beginning correctly. So, what do I mean by that? Maybe somebody treated you unfairly and you're still ruminating on how they treated you badly. Beloved, change your perception. Instead of looking at it as somebody left me or somebody disappointed me, look at it as somebody provided an opportunity for me to open my eyes and look ahead for another opportunity that God has for me. Remember, the Bible says, the latter shall be greater than the former. And sometimes we hold on to our old experiences and we cry over what could have been when God is saying the best is yet to come. So I don't know who I'm talking to today. Perception, the way you perceive where you are will determine whether you remain emotionally resilient or you allow your situation situation to defeat you. But beloved, I came to encourage you today that there's a new dawn and a new day that comes after the dark. God has said in his word that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And that's what makes a person resilient, is when you look at the brighter side of life. Yes, bad things have happened. We are not discounting that. But it is how you pick yourself up. How are you going to look at that situation and allow yourself to pick yourself up and move forward? Because God always has a gracious intention in everything that he allows us to go through. No experience in your life and my life has gone to waste. It will either be used now or in the future when God demands that we bring that experience out and encourage someone else. Hallelujah. The next thing is that, having perspective can help you it shapes your goal setting. It can help you in goal setting. When you have a perception of what you are in for, it helps you better prepare for what you are planning to achieve. I'll move on quickly now to building boundaries around your new beginning, and I will end in the next few minutes. So we have seen what can hinder our perception, and we have seen why we need to be people that correctly perceive situations and seasons. So because when you come in a new beginning, there's a lot of things that change and a lot of new babies that are born in terms of visions, in terms of activities, in terms of just things that you begin to nurture for you to kickstart whatever it is that God has set you out to do. So when we enter this space, you must understand that there is a risk of sabotage. There's a risk of aborting the vision. There's also the risk of getting confused in the moment because you've entered this new space. So how can we build boundaries around our new beginning? I will whip through these points and I will be done. So first of all, we need to build self-respect and empowerment. We need to make sure that we build self-respect and empowerment. What do I mean by that? I'll give an example of a job. When you enter a new job, what usually happens is that people are checking you out, okay? You said on your CV that you have 10 years of computer programming experience. You have 5 years in public relations roles, and you give all these promises in your CV. But when it now comes to delivering, you step into that workplace, they want to size you up if you fit the mold that you gave them. So when you enter a new work environment, you need to make sure that you build self-respect and you empower yourself to perform at the level that you have promised. So when you enter into a new environment, it's important to build self-respect. That is a boundary that will stop others from bringing you down from the level where God has put you. Self-respect is very important. It empowers you to recognize when someone is crossing the line, and taking advantage of your kindness or your tolerance. Self-respect is something that helps you stand firm and send that message, that you value yourself and you believe in the qualifications that you hold and you believe in your abilities as God has graced you. So building boundaries around your new beginning will demand that you build self-respect and you empower yourself for where you are. The second boundary that you need to build is to recognize manipulation. Very important. When you enter a new season, I remember, one time when I was involved in church planting, and we started a new church. And when we had started the church, we had a few people that came along with us in that new ministry. And within that, the first, I think the first month, we had people wanting the chairs this way, people wanting their hospitality team run this way, people wanting things done a certain way. Understand that when something is new, everyone has a plan for it. Everyone has a plan for it. So even you, as you have stepped into your new beginnings, there's an expectation that people will have that, okay, now you're in a new job, you need to do this and this. Okay, now you're in a new relationship. We expect you to do this, to do that. We now expect you to wear these long dresses or to do this and that. There's that expectation that people put on you. And when people have an expectation about what you need to do, there is a tendency for manipulation to actually begin to take root. So you need to build a boundary around your new beginning by recognizing that there's a possibility of you being manipulated. And so recognize manipulation because, sometimes people might use guilt or emotional manipulation or even flattery to get you to do what they want. But understand, beloved, that you are the one that has received this word from God, that this is the job you should take. This is the place you should move to. This is the wife you should marry. This is the school you should attend. This is the university you must be at. You are the one that has that conviction. And so you are the one that is supposed to now get the blueprint from God of how you're going to navigate that environment. So beware of manipulation when you enter your new beginnings. Another thing you need to be aware of is that you need to build boundaries around preserving your energy. Energy is in limited supply because we are human beings, okay? So, you get up in the morning, here in the West, we don't have maids. So you do your own cleaning, you do your own cooking, you do your own everything, literally washing. And energy is in limited supply. I always say, as human beings, we have limitations when it comes to energy. And this is why we need to sleep at a certain hour. Whether you like it or not, you can fight sleep. But when sleep comes to you, sleep must prevail. That's how God made us. We need to regenerate when we sleep. So our energy is in limited supply. And so when we enter a new environment and a new beginning, there's a lot of things to establish. When I moved here, there's a lot of things to be done for me to even feel established. So it takes a lot of energy. And so I need to make sure that I apportion my energy in a way that preserves the best energy for the things that are most productive to me. So, what am I saying? You need to build a boundary around your new beginning by ensuring that your energy is preserved for the things that matter the most. This enables you to be more present and focused and available for those things that are important to you. And last but not the least, you need to build a boundary in this new season around maintaining balance. You need to maintain balance. This has to do with self-care, my chorus of self-care. I am singing it again. Maintain a balance. You have entered a new environment. It's exciting, it's new, it's invigorating. But you must understand that, like I said, that our energy is in limited supply. There is a time when you need to withdraw and look after your soul, replenish your soul, replenish your being, and make sure that you are living a balanced life, that your physical body is getting rest, that your spirit man is being fed, that your relationships are being nurtured, that you're doing everything that you need to do to ensure that you remain balanced. Otherwise, the thing that was meant to be a blessing, as exciting as new beginnings are, can end up causing you to burn out. So let's build boundaries around our new beginning. But beloved, today I just wanted to emphasize that perception is important. And this is why in our theme scripture, Isaiah 43 and verse 19, God actually says and clearly says, do you perceive it? I am doing a new thing, but do you perceive it? And I want you to really, really grasp that and understand that there's a part you need to play in this new beginning. You need to perceive correctly, and you need to build boundaries around what God has entrusted you with. I am super excited about where God is taking us in this season. And I pray that you will just stay in that place where you allow God to nurture you, you allow God to lead you, and above all, always go back to God. Always go back to God. When all things feel like they're becoming a chore, they're becoming heavy, always go back to the source, the author and finisher of your faith. So, beloved, it is an exciting season. It is a new season. It is time for new beginnings. And I know that God is going to honor his word concerning you. Take heart. Don't allow the enemy to convince you that this is the end of it. This is you finished. This is it. You will never rise again from where you are. Believe me, the God that we serve is a God of new beginnings. So I will end here, and I pray that you have a productive week and that you continue to seek to perceive the good things that God is doing in your life. God bless you, and I will see you next time. Shalom.